All right, and we're here with Russell Knight in Chicago, Chicago-based attorney and law firm owner who focuses on family law.
Welcome to the Lawyer Millionaire Podcast, the show where law firm owners learn to build wealth, scale their firms, and design the life of freedom they deserve. Hosted by Darren Wurz, business and wealth advisor for law firm owners and author of The Lawyer Millionaire, this podcast delivers the strategies and inspiration you need to break free from the grind and become the financial success you envision. Let's dive in.
Welcome to the show, Russell.
Thanks for having me, Darren. Always nice to talk to somebody and get some new perspectives on things.
Yeah, absolutely. And, before we hit the record button, we were talking about how it's a huge mistake. There's a huge mistake that family law firms face. Tell us what that is.
Family law attorneys are generally nice people who know they're walking someone through one of the worst chapters of their life. So they give them a lot of grace. And that means sometimes they don't insist on getting paid for their services when an invoice goes out and the invoice is due. They're like, you know what? They'll probably be good for it. They know I'm doing good work. They have a house they're probably going to sell. Well, everybody's bills are due at the point of sale. The grocery store doesn't care if you're hungry. And shouldn't care if you're making promises to pay in the future. Because like everybody else, we got families, we got bills to pay too. This is just the way the economy works. There's not an exception for people going through a divorce. You got to pay.
100%. I love that perspective. And we're going to get into that. For you, the listener, today we're talking about cash flow problems and solutions in family law firms. It's part of our theme this year, which is profit on purpose. And this quarter, we're talking about profit systems and cash flow systems as we're reading the book Profit First. So we'll get into all of that. Russell, tell us a little bit about your firm, where you are today, just so that our listeners get to know a little bit about you.
I'm in the suburbs of Chicago, Illinois today. I have a firm in Chicago and a firm in Naples, Florida. And we've got 6 attorneys plus me and 6 support staff. And we all get along real well. And we walk people through some really terrible chapters of their life and onto a better chapter as divorce attorneys or family law attorneys or whatever deals with the domestic relations, domestic violence, something domestic. I solve the problem.
Absolutely. Great. Okay. So you got to get paid, right? That's number one. Was there ever a point in your life where this was an issue for you and you kind of realized, we've got to make some changes here?
Yeah. The family law attorneys, we send out bills at the end of the month or sporadically throughout the month. And then we hope those bills get paid. So there's a lot of us just send it out. And then maybe the next time we touch it and we're like, well, did they pay us or they didn't pay us? Then you have to have an uncomfortable conversation. Well, it's not productive to anybody. You should send out bills on a particular schedule and people should know that they're expected to pay them at a particular time, not instantly. I give people 14 days. And then they also have a 7-day period to question any of the billing and bring that up to if they want to debate what the billing was. And then they got to get paid or work stops. And the fact of the matter is that if you're a lawyer, you are not going to block off the appropriate time of your day to send out these bills and then to follow up with the bills 14 days, 7 days later, 30 days later, 6 months later. You're just going to do the work because you're like, my life's on fire. I got to get this motion out. I got to prepare for this hearing. I got to try to get this new client. So you will not give the bills the attention they require. And so what happened to me is that I ended up hiring a virtual assistant to take care of it. My softwares, they have a little button where you press it and it sends out automatically all the bills to all the clients. Well, clients are not stupid. They can tell that it's automatic because it's coming from .com or what have you. But when you have someone individually saying, hi, Brian, this is Gregory with Russell's office. Here's your bill. You have 14 days to pay. There's a link right here. If you have any questions, please let me know. People are like, oh, be real is looking at this. Even that,
Yeah.
people are so much more inclined to pay. I don't know.
Wow.
I was probably getting paid like 80% of my bills, maybe probably less than that. And then it immediately shot up into the mid 90s once I had a real person sending out bills. And
Wow.
it's really all it took. And it cost nothing. The people outside of the United States who do these virtual jobs, they speak better English than you or I. I have one assistant that's from the Philippines, and I asked her, like, well, when did you live in America? And she said, no, I never have. I'm like, well, why don't you have an accent? And she said, I watch a lot of movies, I guess.
Yeah.
I had my billing assistant he worked for KPMG in Argentina. And
Wow.
like, it's just the nature of currency exchanges that the almighty dollar can buy you a lot of really good labor. And because these people are sending out bills, they're not looking at private information. You don't need to have an American work on that stuff. It can just
Yeah.
get done.
Yeah.
So
And
that would be the first hire for any divorce lawyer. I would say, you do the work. Your next person is your billing person, because I have a whole system. It's marketing, sales, collections, and then the work.
Yeah. And that can make such a huge impact on your bottom line. I mean, you may not realize it at the time, but a 10% increase in actually collecting on invoices, which is what you said you experienced. I mean, let's say you're billing a 500,000 a year. That's an extra 50K. I mean,
yeah,
come on now, right?
Fixed. So it's not even like that you're making 10% more. You're probably making 20% more because your costs are fixed.
Yeah.
Professional services usually, 50 cents on the dollar is the expenses. But so the question is, how do you get more dollars? Your expenses aren't really tied to the income coming in. Your expenses are tied to the work that's coming in. So make sure that once you got the phone ringing and people signing up, your next step is to make sure they pay. And you got to have somebody watch that and be on top of it. And everybody I know that's really successful at this, they have somebody who's devoted almost exclusively to collections.
So take notes, listener. You need to have somebody who is devoted to this 24/7. And it's not just always about the time, I find, for law firm owners, but sometimes there's a little bit of an emotional aspect too. It's hard sometimes for us to ask people to get paid, ask people to pay us. But when it's your job, you kind of dispassionate with it. You can do, the people whose job it is to do this, they don't have the emotional attachment that we do.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that. When I'm working the case, because I like my client, I don't want to be like, hey, so you know how I'm getting you through this horrible thing, and like some things are working and some things aren't. Well, now I think you're a deadbeat, so pay me. I don't want to say that. So I'd rather have someone else say, pursuant to our policies, I need a payment. Yeah. Or discussions about a payment plan within 14 days. But because I have 6 attorneys that work with me, I often come in as the heavy, and I will say, like, we had an initial conversation, but I'm like, hey, you haven't paid. Sorry, we got to get out of the case. And I can and effectively.
At what point do you make that determination that we're going to stop working?
After 14 days, and I haven't been paid. And I can tell when you're ignoring me. There are many people who are like, phrase, I have to get this done. My money's tied up. I'm going to make regular payments of what I can do. And most people, if someone says to you that they're going to make a payment on a regular basis and they do it 3 times, you can bet that 99% chance that payment will recur, and then you can act accordingly. But if someone kind of blows you off the first time, that's not going to be the last time.
Yeah. You can see that they're opening the email and looking at it, but not taking any action.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay, come on now. Let's see. So have you experimented with the timing of bills too at all? When you're sending them out, sending them out maybe more frequently. Have you done anything with that?
I don't do that. I know that some people send it out every 2 weeks to match when people's paychecks go out. I've not found that that's
doesn't move the needle. Okay.
I don't know if the juice is worth the squeeze. Like I said, if I went from getting paid for 70% something of my bills to 95% just by having a person send it out, how much juice is there with 5%?
Right. You're already doing pretty good there. So, how do you set expectations at the beginning of a client engagement? Is there a retainer that they pay? What does that look like at the start?
One, do not change different retainers between different people. If you're trying to compete on price, you're doing something wrong. And
Okay.
The retainer is not a way to compete on price. People will tell you what they can afford. You should do the same retainer for everybody and say, like, just have to trust me. Maybe I'll give you some of it back. Maybe your case is that easy. And if their case is truly that easy, they'll find somebody who like does things for a lot less. And you didn't need that work anyways, because it was not the good cases are cases that go on and on and on, not because you want it to go on, but just because like you can provide that much more value because they have bigger challenges. So you don't want the little cases. Just provide the same retainer, send out the same bill every month. And that way the client knows what to expect and is also able to consume the responsibilities at a regular pace. Like a heavily litigated case is where everyone's hair isn't on fire. I mean, if it's like between $5,000 a month, a lot of people can swing that, or because it doesn't last forever. It lasts for like a 6-month period where you got to put stuff on different credit cards. People can figure it out. And also, like, it's usually marital expenses, and by that time in the 6 months, I can have the other side pay for it, or we're starting to liquidate assets to get paid. The consistency is key, is my point.
Right. So let's go back to the same retainer for everybody. Never offer a discount, right? Is that your philosophy? What do you do when somebody is kind of balking at your fees?
I tell them that like they're welcome to hire somebody else. My phone rings multiple times a day. I don't need.
Yep. And when you have, there's a certain psychological component to that. People are more likely probably to hire you when you're firm on your fees because you have that confidence, and they're probably asking, well, he must be worth it, right? Is that going through their heads, you think?
I don't know, and I don't care. I just want them to pay me.
As long as you're getting paid. Absolutely. Okay. So what other issues have you found in cash flow in running a family law firm that have cropped up for you?
I own the firm, so the money comes to me. Because it's just me, that is the primary person. I have partners in decision making, but not in equity. I have the money in an account, and I don't need to divide it up amongst other people. People get paid, they get bonuses, etc. But these retained earnings are exclusively under my purview. This lets my staff and vendors, everyone can be assured that there will always be money available to pay them because I'm not distributing earnings amongst other people. So at least in small law, like family law, it's, I think, to the advantage of anybody who does business with me to know that I pay my bills, not just because I choose to pay my bills, because I can pay my bills. I have the retained earnings and I cash out once a quarter. That's it.
So you've developed a lot of cash flow discipline, which is what the profit first system is really all about. I mean, whether you're familiar with it, I mean, whether you use it religiously or, use some form of it, it's exactly that way, right? Keeping money in the business in specific accounts for specific purposes. One of the biggest misconceptions I see among business owners in general is a misunderstanding of or too much of a focus on top line revenue and not enough focus on actual profitability. And I have seen firms that try to grow. They put tons of money into marketing and, they're spending $40,000 a month on Google ads or what have you. And they grow in terms of revenue, but they actually shrink in terms of profitability, or they're operating at a net loss. Was there ever a moment where you kind of thought, hey, I've got to think more about profitability than revenue?
Well, I'm a different animal. I zig when everybody else zags. I built my business by doing a lot of stuff that people are not willing to do. The Chicago business has 750 long law review style articles with all the citations so you can cut and paste them, specifically so I can cut and paste them when I need them to use them later. And they're all posted. And I've been doing that since 2016. Like, it's longer. The articles all put together are longer than the Bible. Everything
in
there. We have a chat bot that lets you search the articles with AI and it does a very good job of answering questions. So I did that because, one, it was free. It's just my time. I do it every Saturday morning. I read every appeals decision, and I put those snippets that are relevant into my existing articles. And once in a blue moon, I think of a new article to write, and I do that. And so I don't have an expense because it's effectively my own privately done SEO. So I don't have additional expense. Additionally, I let my staff work from home. My staff members are mostly millennials. I'm a younger Gen X. I don't think that the office is magic, which a lot of my colleagues do. So that's a giant expense too. I don't advertise. I don't have a office that I have to pay for. I do have an office, but it's just for 8 people and $30,000 a month. So my expenses are limited, and that flexibility to do fun stuff. Like I take everybody on a big retreat every winter. We're going to the Phoenician in Scottsdale in a couple of weeks.
Sweet, yeah.
And we did Naples last year because, frankly, the firm is profitable, and so I can do fun stuff, and I can give people bonuses that they deserve because I've reduced expenses where my colleagues are spending on buildings and Google ads.
What we often find is that in terms of the levers of growth, the digital ad spend is last. It's the most expensive in terms of it's the least ROI. A lot of the leads you get are not great. There are some other low-hanging fruit that you can knock out sooner, like referrals, repeat customers, content. It sounds like content has really been the driving force for you, that you put out so much content, and that's really worked. Yeah. That's great. Let's talk a little bit about your financial metrics and metrics that you use. Are there any specific metrics that you are watching, targeting, KPIs that you found have been really effective for you?
I do watch to see the monthly gross revenue because it brings up good questions. Like January's busy, right? So you're like, okay, well, January's busy. January's a lot busier than last year. Or you'll have like an October where it's like, whoa, that was like a really good month. Maybe what's happening? And usually you can ask your staff, even like a paralegal, and be like, what do you think's different this month? And they'll be like, oh, I don't know, we're just really busy, and like the cases have been good, or what have you. And also a slow month, they'll be like, well, we had to devote all this time to this one person, and like it ended up being a problematic case, and we haven't gotten paid yet. That's what I've found is the big for financial KPI is just that gross revenue number. It both tells you like the clients that are coming in and putting down retainers and the clients that are paying consistently, and lets you know where you have a leaky bucket that you need to take a look at.
Yeah, that's good. You got to keep track of that, and then ask the tough questions, which is great. So is that how you bring your team into, understanding the financial performance of the firm, or how do you get them to actually engage with that or understand that?
I don't think, well, again, the purpose of a KPI is not to determine your net profitability. It's to get hints at other things. Like I call them leaky buckets, because like if the world was perfect, we'd all be making millions of dollars, right? But like that's not the reality. It's usually we all love to do that, but there's things getting in the way. So you have to figure out, what really is in the way? What squeaky wheels need to get greased? So when things are good, you can have a very honest conversation with people in a group and say, like, what made it good? Why is this year better than other years? And people will tell you, like, well, you hired all this extra staff, and like everyone's really in sync, and so the clients are happier, so we're getting paid more, and we're getting good results. And then vice versa, if something is wonky, usually you have to have a one-on-one talk and say, like, hey, what's happening? It's usually like someone's hours, like, man, your hours aren't there. What's going on? It's usually something personal that we can get past. I'm happy to support people through something if it's affecting work. That's my job, really, is like to support everybody, and we can get through that. So that's what this is. The good metric is gross revenue, And the bad metric is people's hours and not getting it because there's something wrong if they're not making their minimum hours or they're not striving to make excess hours.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Um, part of profitability is really addressing those leaky buckets, which you mentioned. What are some common leaky buckets that you see? Are there any that have been like repetitive or you see as common for other practices that we should really be paying attention to?
There's going to be a million leaky buckets, and the trick to getting a leaky bucket unleakable is you just got to watch it and let the person know that you're watching it. Schedule a meeting about their leaky bucket, whether it's their hours or their follow-up or their education, so they're becoming a better practitioner. If they will work on those items, if they know that there is a scheduled meeting about that item on a biweekly or monthly or quarterly basis, because if there's no check-in, then who cares? They're still going to do whatever they do.
Yeah, absolutely. Very cool. Well, Russell, what about software spend? That I see as kind of a leaky bucket for a lot of firms, especially with like AI and there's, so many tools that we can spend on. How do you keep track of that and make sure you're not, or has that never been an issue for you?
I mean, we use My Case, and then we also use Dropbox, and we use Gmail, and there's Google Work app, and there's expenses associated with that, but they're not too expensive. And just recently, we finally said like we're going to do it right and have pay Thomson Reuters like the couple $100 a month. It's not. I don't even know what I think it's like $800 for everybody to have access to West Publishing, and it just makes us that much better. The whole point is like the bigger you get, generally expenses are fixed. I'll be quite frank. If I was a solo again, if something happened, I'd probably go work for somebody else because it's just not worth it. Not even
Yeah.
if you have one associate. I always call it an associate. When it's just one solo and an associate, that's just a sidekick. That's just Batman and Robin. That's not the event. So what you want to do is you want to have as many people as possible because your fixed expenses will remain fixed, whether you have 3 people or 12. And then your variable expenses should be bonuses, should be money that's going to actual people and not to some software company. That's how
makes sense. Yeah.
How you can benefit your core team. Give them money.
Yeah, absolutely. What would you say is kind of the break-even point? So solo, you're going to struggle with your margins. One attorney, probably going to still be struggling with your margins. When does it finally really start to take off?
Oh, it's probably two attorneys and 2 paralegals. It's probably you, 2 attorneys, and then at least 2 paralegals. And then you should be moving in the right direction. And then once you have 5 attorneys and you should have 5 paralegals, you can really take your foot off the gas and be a business owner. But someone is going to have to supervise those paralegals. So you better have a super paralegal or another attorney who can devote time to supervising the paralegals. And I've been blessed in having a person like that. And the more you can focus on the business and pay your staff appropriately and assure your staff that you will always get more business because you're willing to absorb risk and make sure that the phone keeps ringing, they will remain loyal to you and will be part of the team because they know that they're getting the support they need financially, the support they need to do the job they want to do, the support they need to be the attorney they want to be. It's a lot. Like people's careers are a lot, and it's my pleasure to shepherd their career in the direction they want to go. You want to be the best? Come join me. I'll help you.
Isn't that awesome? Right. I feel kind of the same way. It's like you have the privilege of creating this place where people can come and work and can do what they love and not have to worry about the business or whether we're going to make enough money. I kind of experienced that in my own life. Starting out, I was all by myself. I had to worry about all of those things. But now having the privilege to be able to create that place for other people, it's really a truly honorable position to be in, and it's a great responsibility. Have you, it sounds like you've enjoyed that aspect of being a business
Yeah.
owner as
I mean,
well.
like, you only get one life, but at the same time, it's not fun to do the same thing over and over again. I mean, I've done thousands of divorces. I'm 47. Do I want to spend the next 20 years just, plugging and chugging divorces? I love doing a divorce trial, don't get me wrong. But I'm doing fun stuff now. Like, I do a bunch of Instagram videos, or I try to do CLEs, and then I tape the CLE. I have it edited. I just do like other stuff where how can I be more out there so that people are aware of who I am and what the services I provide and why those services are effectively and fundamentally superior. And that's totally different than what I went to law school for, like a billion times different.
Yeah, absolutely. One final question. Yeah, how do you incentivize your team, as much as you're comfortable sharing with us? And do you tie that to financial performance? So what have you found that works really well for you?
My job is to absorb the risk as the business owner.
Mm-hmm.
The team does not absorb any negative risk. If somebody wants to do extra work by billing more, I don't care if we collect or not. You're getting paid for that work you did, whether it's by a bonus or something we work out. Different people have different needs. So I have different arrangements set for every single person about what they want to do and how they want to get paid. And so I would ask them directly, what do you want? They probably want something very specific, and they probably don't want other stuff that frankly isn't on the table. Just give them what they want. If someone wants a raise, give them a raise. If someone is having something horrific happen, give them an advance. If someone is figuring out a way to make you more money, tell them you appreciate that and how would they like to be compensated. They will tell you. And if they're making you money, you should say, yes, I'll do that.
Sounds like it boils down to really understanding your people and communicating effectively with them. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, and getting out of your own way. Like, stop being cheap. Stop it.
Yeah, true. Yeah, it's not all about, making as much money as you can at all costs. It's about, you'll find that eventually doesn't make you as much money as you want. Having a great team that's happy and loves what they do and loves where they work, now they will perform really, really strongly for you, and then you will make more money. Absolutely. Well, Russell, some great nuggets that you've given us today. Finally, want to ask you, what for the solo or really small family lawyer out there who's trying to grow, what is one last piece of advice that you might have for them?
To grow, there's 3 things you got to do to grow. You got to market, which just means people are being aware of you. Whether you're waving a sign. When I started, I speak Spanish. I put up little billets in the lavanderias that said, abogado hispanohablante. And they would tear it off, just like for a guitar lesson or something. Did I make a lot of money doing that? No, but I didn't sit at home hoping somebody would notice who I was. You got to get out there and do something. Sales. When people call you up, you got to learn how to talk to people, and you probably don't know what you're doing on the phone. You got to hire a sales coach. It's not that expensive, and it turns, let's say, even if it turns like a 30% conversion rate into a 50% conversion rate, it'll pay you within a month or 2. It's not a problem. And then third, you got to collect. Now you have the clients, make them pay. So if you have the clients and the clients are paying, you should have a big pile of money. And then all these getting all these people to work for you and do the job, you won't have a problem with that because you'll just hand out the big pile of money.
Yep. Great advice. You got to hustle. You got to get out there. Got to get the clients. You got to be a good salesperson. 100%. That's a unique skill. And then you got to get them to pay. Great advice, Russell. Well, thanks so much for joining us today. Where can folks go to learn more about you?
If you live in Illinois, you can go to rdklegal.com. That's Russell D. K as in night legal.com. And if you're in Southwest Florida, where I also have a practice in Chicago's best suburb, Naples, Florida, you can go to divorceattorneynaplesfl.com or just Google me. I'm easily the easiest guy to find probably in America for family law if you just Google me, Russell Knight.
Great. All right. Well, thanks, Russell.
Thank you.
Are you a law firm owner looking to build real wealth and break free from the daily grind? On the Lawyer Millionaire podcast, we share practical strategies to grow your practice, maximize profits, and create the financial freedom you deserve. Join host Darren Wurz as he interviews top experts and successful law firm leaders who share their secrets. Don't just practice law, build a legacy. Listen now to The Lawyer Millionaire wherever you get your podcast. The Lawyer Millionaire podcast is for informational and educational purposes only. It is not intended as legal, tax, or investment advice. Listeners should consult with a qualified professional before making any financial or business decisions. The views expressed by guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect those of Darren Wurz or Lawyer Millionaire Wealth Advisors.